Oh, my back. Is it worth it? No, I'm not talking about the picture frame. That was way too expensive. I'm talking about the piece of paper that's worth thousands of dollars. Yes, my college degree. Is it worth it? Today, we're gonna find out. So let's get right into the video. What is going on, guys? My name is Kyle, and today we're gonna be talking about, is college really worth it? So, not only do I have one, I also have a second one. And no, these are not PhDs. I'm not a doctor. One's from community college for an associate's degree, and the other one is a bachelor's degree from a university. I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time. I finished college about a year ago from this day. I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time now. I've been out of college for a little over a year now, and I thought it was the perfect time to just talk about, is college really worth it? Before we even get into the answer to that question, I think we need to kind of give a little bit of a timeline of me and my experience with college. So first, for some reference, I'm from the Bay Area, born and raised. I'm 24 years old, and I have gone through majority of my education being in the public education system, no private school or anything like that. I went through high school like most people do, and then it came to the point of, what do I want to do next? So many things were running through my mind, as a young kid does, and especially in high school. Some people know what they want to do, some people don't. I was one of those people. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my career. Obviously, being 18 years old, that's not something you necessarily should know what you're going to do with your career or with your life. But it had come to the end. I was a senior and I had some idea. I had some career paths that I may have been interested in, but it came time where I needed to make a decision. One thought that I had, one thought of many, was I wanted to be an architect. I love the way that buildings were designed. I love the thought process behind designing a building, looking into books, things like that. And my goal was to go to Stanford and become an architect. That dream didn't go too well. I am not an architect. I did not go to Stanford. I toured Stanford many times because it is kind of in my backyard, being in the Bay Area, but I didn't end up going to Stanford. Another choice that I thought I might go into was maybe being a chef. That ended very shortly. It didn't even go anywhere. I didn't do research. It just was like a quick thought. And that's when I started to figure out who I truly was and the fact that I'm an entrepreneur. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So from there, I went into community college. They had come to my actual high school and they had given their whole pitch and their speech. And there was two kind of main community colleges in my area. And they said, this is a great way, a cheap way for you to kind of figure out, not, just fully plunging yourself into a university, the deep end of the pool. You start out in the shallow end and then work your way into something like a university. So after their pitch, this is something that I came home and I really thought about, and I was like, this is going to be cheaper. I'm not super rich. My parents aren't super rich. So it made sense when it comes to affordability to maybe go to community college. So I went to a community college in my area, which was De Anza College. And it is a very well-known community college. It's one of the best actually in the state. And I submitted my application, obviously got accepted, and I started going to De Anza College. So with community college, I spent 3 years, and you're probably saying, well, doesn't that usually take 2 years? I decided to work almost full time while I was doing it. So it's going to take a little bit longer, obviously, if you're working. But that was something, it took me 3 years to get all the way through and then obtain both my AA and then my AST, which is basically just like a transfer degree. So during these 2 years, I still kind of had no clue what I was doing. Obviously, at a certain point, you kind of have to declare your major. It would almost be the same if you're at university. If you've gone to university, you would understand this. About your second year, they want you to at least declare some major. You can change it, but those are the times, the third and fourth year are when you actually get into like specific major specific classes. So at that point, I was like, I don't know, my grandpa's always been a mentor. He's run his own business, sold his own businesses, and I thought, well, maybe let's try business. So went through community college, business major, got towards the kind of third year, and I still kind of had no idea what I wanted to do. Part of me wanted to just drop out completely and try and start my own business or do photography, which has always been a love. The other part of me was saying, and a lot of my family was saying, just finish it out, get your AA degree. My counselors were telling me that just finish, get your AA, and then you can decide what you want to do. So that was very enticing to me, and that's what I ended up doing at that time. Was I finished, got my AA, got my transfer degree, which not everyone does in a community college. So a lot of times they just transfer to the university, get their bachelor's, and they've never got an associate. So this is where this came into play. I got my associate's degree, and at that point I had to decide, what am I going to do next? Well, what happened next was I thought, well, what about university? And I had talked to a couple people that I have known for a while, and so from there I had talked to one of actually my old elementary teachers, and her daughter had gone to California State University, Monterey Bay. So that's when it sparked my interest, and I said, you know what? I think business is something that I'm interested in. Entrepreneurship, maybe I should start looking into four-year universities. From there, I looked into Monterey Bay. I looked at the different majors they had. I noticed that they had an entrepreneurship kind of focus within the business major. And obviously the beach was kind of just an escape for me. I was stuck in the city, and I was kind of very just like claustrophobic with all the energy that's going on here. And I said, you know what? I just need to get out of the house. I need to go to Monterey. I need to live on my own. And kind of a backstory, I was living in my parents' house, going to community college just so I could save up some money. But I also wanted the experience to kind of live on my own. I wanted that college experience. So then I went ahead and I went to California State University, Monterey Bay, and obtained my bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in entrepreneurship. So now here we are, a year and a half later. Obviously tons of different like work experiences. I've worked anywhere from retail to grocery to a top corporation for an internship, to one of the biggest car rental companies. I've worked at a lot of different places. Since then, I've been a photographer. Photography has always been my passion. I worked at dealerships as a photographer for marketing, inventory, all that stuff has been a big part of my passion and a lot of my experience. So now we get to the point of, what do I think about college? Do I think you should go? And obviously don't take my words and go, okay, well, he said go to college. He said don't go to college, so I'm going to listen to him. Just take my advice and make your own opinion out of it. Take my advice and then create your own kind of decision out of it. This is just my opinion. This is my experience. This is why I wanted to share it for people out there that are maybe in high school, maybe in community college, maybe a few years after high school, and they're trying to decide if college is the right step for them. This is the video for you. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is kind of the independence part. I had mentioned it earlier, and it was a great opportunity for me to move out and be on my own. Not everyone is going to have this opportunity. Another college that I got accepted into and I was looking at was almost 15 to 20 minutes away from me. And part of me is like, I know it's a good college. I know they have good classes, a good reputation, but I wanted to get out. I wanted to move out and I wanted to be on my own. Not everyone is going to have this financial freedom. I wasn't living in a mansion. I was living on, on campus housing, and it was an amazing experience. It was a point in my life where I grew up. I became, more of an adult. My maturity level came up as well. Learning how to live on my own. I'm an only child, so it was a great way to have roommates, to experience that, and not be, a privileged only child and never have the experience of living on his own at an early age. So if you have this opportunity and you have the financial freedom to live on your own, live in a dorm, probably your first, second year, or even, when you're in your third and fourth, maybe living off campus with a couple of friends, I would highly recommend it if you can financially do it. This is just a great way for you to become independent. You're going to have to get groceries. You're going to have to manage your money. You're going to have to manage your rent, potentially your phone bill. There's so many things where you just have to grow up. It kind of forces you in a situation where you need to grow up. You need to understand how the real world works. And throughout this video, I kind of want to compare going to college to not going to college. I'm not saying you cannot grow up if you don't go to college. I'm just saying it's a very unique situation where you're going into an environment where everyone is kind of doing the same thing, right? You go into high school and a lot of people just don't want to even be there. It's a very interesting stage of teenagers' lives. Then you get into college. People are paying for college. So majority of the time, they're there for a reason. You're all there for a reason. So this is a great time and a very unique environment. unlike any other, right? If you didn't go to college, yeah, you could make friends, you could become independent, you could live on your own off of whatever income that you have. But this is a very unique situation, unlike any other, that you necessarily can't always come back to. So number one, just independence. If you have the opportunity, if you have the financial freedom, definitely recommend going to like a university. Like you can save money, go to community college, and then go to university and move out. That way you're not paying all 4 or 5 years of kind of student housing. Then we get into a part, and I kind of just mentioned it, people with kind of like-mindedness, making friends and building a network. Like I said, this is a very unique opportunity, and I'm not saying you can't do this without going to college, but it's an opportunity for you to make friends, for you to build a network. I think the first 2 to 3 years, hopefully the first and second year, is a time for you to make friends. This is a time for you to go out and just say hey to people, right? You shouldn't be scared of that, because guess what? Everyone else is in the same boat. Maybe they had some friends that came from college, but a lot of time they don't have any friends. Just say hey, and then you become friends. But this is a great opportunity for you just to build a friendship circle. Even if it's out of state and you end up moving back, you're still going to have those friendships. And it's just a great opportunity for you to build that both network of friendships and then network on more of the business side of things. So what I mean with the network is your career, right? College can be many different things. You can go to become a doctor, to become an architect, even to become a chef, for business, for physics. There's so many things, to be a videographer, a cinematographer, a photographer. There's so many different things that you can get out of college to become as a career, and it's a great way to network. If you don't go to college, yes, you can definitely build that network. There's tons of different programs out there, events, where you can kind of network with people that are like-minded. But this is an opportunity where there's a lot of kids around your age. There's going to be older people in college as well, but a lot of kids around your age that have the same motivation. Hopefully you're finding the people with the same motivation, the same mindset, the same goals potentially. You know, your friend or someone that you've built in your network might end up working at Google. Guess what? When you graduate, you want a job at Google, you got someone to reach out to. So I've kind of mentioned already, but I think there's really two routes. Obviously, you can go to college and not go to college. But the going to college route, there's kind of two ways to do it. Obviously, you can go to university all 4 or 5 years, or potentially even 6. Or the other way is what I did was you can go to community college and then transfer yourself to a university. Now, why would you want to do this? Expenses. This is a part that I really want to make clear. And I know I said these pieces of paper are worth thousands of dollars, but college doesn't really have to be that expensive. And let me explain. So, like I said, I went to community college. If you don't know, that's more of a kind of cheaper option, but it's not as expensive. I'm pretty sure all community colleges are kind of the same. They're the cheaper version of universities, right? I remember in community college, we had like an 80-year-old had just gotten his degree, which is freaking awesome, right? So even in university, we had someone like who was in their 90s and got a degree. So community college is more of like maybe you know, a couple years after high school, you didn't know what to do. And you get to a point where like, maybe I want to get an associate's degree. Maybe I want to there's a lot of certificates you can get as well, which is awesome about community college. You got a lot of people that just come back, and this is a way for them to get an education to maybe get into the job world. So community college is a lot cheaper route. If you're looking to save some money and maybe you couldn't get some scholarships or different grants or anything like that, which I had no possibility of getting any scholarships, but community college was a way for me and my family to save some money. Then even going into university, I don't know if the stats exactly correct, but I think the college that I went to, Monterey Bay, is one of the cheapest CSU kind of colleges in California. So I saved a couple $1,000s just based off that. So like I said, you don't have to break the bank to go into college. There's different ways to do it. You don't have to get an AA degree or associate's degree. You can get certificates. You don't have to get a bachelor's. You can just get an associate's. But there are ways to save money. Obviously, I spent a little more living on my own than I would if I just lived at home for the remaining 2 years. But you don't have to spend a lot of money. There's ways that you can save. There are some scholarships that you can get. There's a lot of scholarships you can get. I just didn't get any. And then another little secret that I'll kind of throw in there, so kind of keep it on down low, but you can actually kind of write off your college in tuition. So I don't know all the specific and details. You can look it up. Maybe I'll link something down below for you to check out more information. But this is what me and my family did is we were able to write off my college tuition, my college housing. Obviously, I was living on campus the first year. Both were student housing. It helped a lot in our tax write-off, but it helped when it came to the end of the year and we were doing our taxes. It was a huge break. So that's something that you probably want to look into. Maybe you and your family, or just you are getting into college and paying for college, look into kind of a write-off on your taxes and how you can do that, what you need to keep track of, all the records. But that is definitely a way to save money and a little secret. So you're only getting that here on YouTube. And other things like, going through college and material wise, a lot of time I just bought like 3 subject notebooks, and maybe I didn't use all the papers and I just started flipping through, and the next semester I used the same notebook. So there's different ways to kind of save money and kind of cut costs. But we're kind of getting off topic here. The main question we need to answer is college worth it? I think when it comes to if you have a specific profession in mind, do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a physicist? Do you want to be a chemist? Do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be in biology, marine biology? Do you want to be a cinematographer? Do you want that training? Do you want that unique training with all the equipment and all the techniques and stuff like that? There's certain professions where I would recommend, obviously you're probably going to need to go to college, right? But if you're watching this video and if you clicked on this video, my guess is you have no idea what you want to do. You're into business, which is a lot of business majors. A lot of times really don't know what they want to do. Some do, but a majority of them don't. But if you have a profession and it requires college, obviously this is probably something that you probably need to get into. You need to go to college. I've known some nurses, there's there's unique programs that they can go through to be able to become a nurse. But there's going to be professions. If you want to be a doctor, got to go through college. But if you don't know what you want to do, maybe you're an entrepreneur and you have that entrepreneurial mindset like myself, college may not be for you. You can definitely become successful. I could list all of these success stories: Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all the people that just did not go to college and are obviously doing pretty well for themselves. So I think it honestly depends on what you want to do, who you are as a person, and what is your path in life, right? Someone that wants to be a doctor, their path is to go to college 6-8 years, however many years it takes. Someone like myself who doesn't really know decided, hey, I want to go to college. I want that experience. I want to be able, not the party experience, even though I did have that. I wanted to be able to build a network, build friendships, build my independence, my maturity level, as well as the experiences that I got with internships and things alike. Or you're an entrepreneur, you don't know what you want to do. Maybe you can't afford college. It's not something you necessarily have to do. I know a lot of people say, well, you need the paper to get the job. Well, maybe you're not looking for a job. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Just to kind of give you a little hint, I have 2 of these papers in a year or so after college. I don't know if I've actually used them. Obviously, I've used the education that I gained out of it, but I never went to a job or gotten a job and I went, look at this piece of paper. And they went, oh my gosh, here's the job, right? Obviously, in certain situations, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a physicist, if you want to be a software engineer, they're going to go, well, where's your degree? But it's interesting to see where my life kind of has gone. And after I graduated, I became a photographer, photographing some of the most exotic cars in the world, driving these cars, getting experiences with these cars that a lot of people my age have never had or may never have. So I've had a lot of very unique experiences that necessarily weren't in the corporate world that these papers might get you into, but I loved what I was doing. So I repeat again, final question, what this all started, the whole video started with, is college worth it? And I would have to say, if it is something that you can afford and it is something that you feel like don't have an idea of what you want to do, but you want to make friends, you want to become more independent, and you want to grow up, and you can afford it, I would definitely recommend maybe just going the cheaper route. Maybe go to community college, then go to university, or just go the whole 4 or 5 years at university and have that experience. But then again, maybe you can't afford it, or maybe you even can afford it, and it's just something that doesn't interest you. I think a lot of times when, seniors in high school are getting to the point where they have to make that decision, a lot of the time I think they already know the answer, but they have a lot of influence, right? It's their teachers, it's their their counselors. It may even be their family, their friends, right? They're looking around, they're going, okay, well, all my friends are going to college, and they're hearing their parents say, well, you probably should go to college. And then you have your counselor saying, you know, your whole high school career, you probably should go to college, preparing you for college. Isn't that what kind of high school is for, right? I mean, if you're in high school right now, that's probably all you're being taught, prepared for college. So I think a lot of times, you know, these seniors, they know the answer. They know what they want to do. Even if they don't know where they want to go, they kind of have an idea of what they want to do. But I think a lot of time it's just influence. I didn't have that influence. It's more like, we support you in whatever direction you go, and I went the college direction. But I think if one, you can't afford it, or two, you just don't want to, then don't go to college. I think it's a time in society where you don't need a couple $1,000 paper to get you through life. I think, you know, it's a time where you can just be an entrepreneur. You can be a trendsetter. You can be someone that makes kind of waves in the low tide, and you can kind of make positive change. You don't necessarily have to have the piece of paper to be able to do that. Genuinely sit with yourself and ask yourself, what is the best thing for me? Don't feel bad. Don't feel like you're wasting your time by committing 4 years. Obviously, you don't have to commit all 4 years. I could have stopped after my associate's degree. I could have stopped after getting certificates. And I chose to stop at getting my bachelor's. So obviously, you're committed to a certain degree, but don't feel like this is this huge life decision. If I make the wrong decision, it's going to impact me for the rest of my life. I'm a strong believer that you have a path in life, and your path is your path. You can't look at someone else's and go, well, why isn't that my path? Because you have your own. Again, to answer the question, if you can afford it, if it's something you feel like you need to do, then go ahead and do that. Honestly, it's that simple. And I know you probably weren't expecting that answer, but that's genuinely what it comes down to. Don't feel like you're wasting your time. If you feel like it's a part of your path, then go do it. If you feel like college isn't a part of your path, then don't do it. It's honestly that simple. I know it feels like this big, huge question when you're finished with high school, but when you break it down and you really genuinely just don't listen to all the clutter that kind of comes around you and is talked to you, you kind of make a genuine decision and you follow through with that decision. But like I said, I've been wanting to make this video for a while. Hopefully it kind of helps you out, give you a little bit of insight from someone that's been through college. And trust me, there's times when I looked in the mirror and I said, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to drop out. I'm done. I'm tired. What is the purpose of all of this? And guess what? You get to the end, you go, okay, now I see the purpose. So take it from someone that has spent 5 years within the college education system and now has 2 pieces of paper worth thousands of dollars and frames that were definitely way too expensive. But again, my name is Kyle. Thank you for making it all the way till the end of the video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like down below. Leave a comment as well. I read all the comments. I reply to all the comments. I'm here for what you have to say. Subscribe helps me out, lets me know I'm going in the right direction. Thanks for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.